Hello, I am Miss Ann, and welcome to Speedy Science. Each week in this program, we do a fast and fun science activity that you can fit into your busy schedule. This week, we are going to make aluminum boats. For this activity, you're going to need a bowl or some other container that you can use to float your boats, some water, pieces of aluminum foil. I did squares about 6 inches by 6 inches, but you can do a different size if you want. A piece of paper and a pencil, and some paper towels. The first thing to do is to fill your container with water. You want to make sure the water is high enough that you'll be able to tell if the boat is actually floating or not, but not so high that it will overflow when you put a boat inside. Then, take the first of your sheets of aluminum foil. Move the corners inward and crumble it into a ball. When making this first ball, make it nice and loose and rather large. Then, go ahead and put your boat inside the water. Make sure you put the open part face up so it doesn't fill up with water. Then, take a look. My boat is completely floating on the water. Make sure to write that down. So write down your sheet. So this is sheet number 1. The size is large. And it floated completely. Then, go ahead and take your boat out of the water and dry it off with one of the paper towels. It doesn't have to be completely dry, but you do want to get some of the moisture off. Then, take your same boat and crunch it up a little bit smaller. Now you want a medium-sized ball. See how that's a little bit tinier? Then, go ahead and put it on the water again and see how it changes. Mine still floats, but now there's a little bit beneath the water that there was in the food. So I'll write that down. Sheet number 1. A medium-sized ball, and it floated with a little bit beneath the water. Now, take your boat out and go ahead and dry it off. Then go ahead and crumble your ball to be as completely small and tight as you can. The tiniest you can possibly get it. Nice and small. See how small that is? Then put it down, and well, you know, now as it goes through, about half of the boat is underneath the water line. So I'll write that down. Sheet number 1. Small. It floated, and half beneath the water. So then you go ahead, again, take it out, and dry it off. Now remember, in science experiments, we want to run experiments multiple times to make sure our results are consistent. So go ahead and repeat that same process with your other 2 aluminum foil squares. Then, after you have all your results, compare them from across the 3 different sheets of foil. And that's it! Now that we saw what happened, let's talk about why. When you make the size of the ball smaller and squeeze it closer together, you increase the density of the ball. Density is how much stuff is packed into one space. Items with low density float because they're less dense than the water they displace. Items with high density, however, sink because they are more dense than the water that they're floating in. This is why the large balls will more on top of the water than the small balls. If you kept squeezing the ball smaller and smaller, eventually you would get to a ball that completely sinks beneath the water. Thank you so much for joining us for this week of Speedy Science. I hope you had fun. Be sure to email your results and send them to us at the Alsop Library's Youth Services email address, along with a picture of your boats. I can't wait to hear from you. Bye! Hello, I am Miss Ann, and welcome to this week's bonus activity. In today's video, we used aluminum foil to make boats and see what size a boat should be to best float on the water. Another way you can do this experiment is to use the same size boat but compare different liquids. In today's video, we used water, but some other liquids you could try would be milk or soda. Keep your pieces of aluminum foil balls the same size and place them in different bowls filled with the different kinds of liquids. Do the boats float in all liquids or is it different? Be sure to email us and let us know. I can't wait to hear from you. Bye!